Show me the crypto. Show me the crypto. Show me the crypto.
In a world on the brink of disruption, two men will bring you clarity by interviewing some of the most intelligent and influential names in the blockchain world. Welcome to Show Me the Crypto with your hosts, Wade Patterson and Ulf Lonergan.
Well, hi there, and welcome to Show Me the Crypto. My name's Wade Patterson.
And I'm Ulf Lonergan.
We're a couple of friends from Canada who love learning about cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology, and we're happy you're along for the ride. Whether you're a crypto virgin or you know your way around the block, we hope our interviews with some of the most intelligent and influential people in the blockchain space help deliver you with value. And on this episode, we're joined by keynote speaker and disruption strategist, Shawn Kanungo. While many keynote speakers either froze or delivered half-assed presentations from their living rooms in March 2020, Shawn adapted. He took up residency at the empty Myer Horowitz Theater in Edmonton, Alberta, where he and his production crew have been delivering top-notch virtual presentations to international audiences ever since. In fact, a Forbes article called Shawn the best virtual speaker in the world. In recent months, Shawn's passion for innovation has naturally shifted his focus to the blockchain space, and he now educates his audiences on this technology and its effect on the creator economy. Shawn, welcome to Show Me the Crypto.
Guys, I am so excited to be here. Thank you for that amazing intro. And I just want to give a shout out to what you guys are building here with your show. It's unbelievable that you've been able to, in a very short period of time, get the quality of guests that you have, to build a following that you have, to step up the audio and the video game, and having the lights in the background. Like, I just love it, and that's why I'm on this podcast. Obviously, Wade, the first time that I was on a pod with you for another podcast, I just loved. I was praising you then. I'm praising you now. So if you've gotten this far, I just, you're 2 minutes into this thing. Like, the best thing that you can do for this pod is subscribe to this YouTube channel, or if you're listening to this on Spotify, give it a follow. Like, just send these guys some love, please. They need it. And let's get to 1,000 subs on YouTube right after this.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Thanks so much, Shawn, for those kind words. Really appreciate it. And usually this is the part of the conversation where I ask our guests about how they discovered crypto, and we'll get to that. But for our audience, I want to give them a little bit of background of how I met you, because I think it's an interesting story of how it happened. And in my day job, my 9-to-5 job, I work for Remax of Western Canada, and we had a conference, and you were the keynote speaker for that conference. And what blew me away was that I saw you coming into the room. So I went over to introduce myself, and right away you're like, "Oh, you're Wade from the Remax Hustle podcast." And you pulled out your phone, and I could see that you had genuinely listened to like every single episode on there. And I was just blown away by the amount of prep and research. And even prior to this interview, I saw you, commenting on some of our TikTok videos and that kind of thing. And I guess the initial question is, where does that hard work come from? Is that something that's always been ingrained in you, the importance of doing your research, the importance of being prepared?
Well, is it hard work, or is it just being a big creep? I'm not sure. For me, it's I'm fascinated by people. I'm fascinated by business. Every time I do a keynote or I'm advising an organization, I want to dive deep. I want to know everything about them. I want to know who's in it, the conversations that are happening on the ground floor. I Google everyone before I meet them. To me, it's like this genuine curiosity. And, this is why I'm in the innovation space, which is really about unlocking value by looking at insights that no one has seen before. That's why I love disruption, because it's about things coming out of nowhere that completely change the status quo. So it's really in my DNA. And I at the end of the day, but beyond that, I just love people. I'm so fascinated with people. I'm the guy at the airport looking at everybody and being like, who is this person? Why are they in Atlanta right now, getting on a flight to Switzerland? Like, why? Like, I want to know everything. So it's just in my DNA.
That's awesome. Shawn, you worked at Deloitte for more than a decade. Can you tell us a bit about what that job entailed, before we get into more of the conversation about crypto, and what led the transition from entrepreneurship into keynote speaking?
Yeah, I think I started actually at Deloitte within accounting for my first couple of years, but I knew immediately that I wasn't built to be an accountant, but I was always interested in consulting and management consulting. So I got into management consulting quickly after I finished my sort of CPA, CA degree. Spent the last 10 years in management consulting and strategy, innovation, digital. Sort of at the tail end of it, I was leading a lot of our innovation initiatives across Canada and beyond. And to me, it was just a fascination of, again, getting back to walking into companies, understanding what their problems were, diving into strategy and helping them sort of grow. That's what I was really, really passionate about. And I left the firm about 3 years ago to go on my own and get into speaking. And then I want to invest in a number of organizations. That's something that I'm really passionate about as well, just seeing something grow from nothing. And actually, as a transition, when I was at Deloitte, the beauty about Deloitte is that they have been around for a very long time. And the reason why they've been around for a very long time is that they're very good at sensing trends before others. So when the blockchain space was really blowing up, actually Deloitte was very quick in mobilizing certain teams around blockchain. And I had a good opportunity to work sort of alongside them, not on the team, but connect with folks in the team. Obviously, I was in innovation, so we worked a lot with financial services, and at the time, there were a lot of experiments happening in the financial services space around blockchain. Like every single big bank was experimenting with blockchain. Some of my mentees. They were really passionate about blockchain. So this was like 2016, 2015, 2016, 2017, when we really sort of dug deep. And that was really my introduction to blockchain, which was within Deloitte, and actually helping with some small experiments.
And you said you were on sort of like the innovation team within Deloitte. What does that mean? Like, what was the job? What was the day-to-day?
Well, it's funny because at first I wasn't part of an innovation team. I was just in strategy. That was my job. I would help organizations with strategy. And, people started calling me the innovation guy, because all the strategic work that I was doing had some sort of innovation angle. We'd incorporate new technologies, whether it was automation or crowdsourcing or film or whatever else, and people would call it innovation. So naturally, not through somebody joining an innovation team or us carving out a space, like people started to call me the innovation guy. And then naturally, as Deloitte was building their own innovation capabilities, I sort of rolled into that. I was working with organizations on their innovation strategy, setting up innovation teams, leading sort of futurist conversations, like what is the future of public sector going to look like? What is the future of our organization going to look like in 5 years? And so, my role sort of shifted to more around innovation and the future as sort of the conversation around innovation became, I guess, more mature at Deloitte, and clients wanted to pay for that. It became more in vogue to talk about disruption and innovation. And on the side, I think my friends and I, we were building mobile apps. That's how I got first into digital. So my friends and I, we had a mobile app firm. We created a whole bunch of apps. We also had a creative film group. And so to me, the whole digital space really sort of collided with what we were doing in the enterprise side. And because we were, creating apps and learning about product and user experience on my own, like that was my MBA, like getting punched in the face and failing in that space, it really helped me within my enterprise job. So yeah, that's really the background.
Getting into speaking, you just mentioned when you were with Deloitte, you kind of became that innovation guy and had to presumably make lots of pitches and talk about this stuff. Is that what kind of ignited your passion for speaking and gave you the idea to then, maybe this is something I could do more professionally?
That also happened organically as well. Like I was doing the work in the digital transformation and innovation space. So naturally, clients want to hear about the work that we were doing, which was novel and new. People started, I started to speak at clients and that where I was working at, and they were like, we have a conference here. And then I'm like, okay, I'll come to this conference and come to that conference. And, more and more people, just like, it was just a groundswell. More and more people want to hear about the work and see the work in action. And actually my first set of keynotes, what I would do is I was early to talk about the no code revolution, the idea that, listen, you don't need any code anymore. You can actually, there's websites out there and talent out there that you can leverage and build stuff on the fly. So I had 2 people behind me at every keynote that I would do, and they would be kind of like DJs. They would build websites and apps right on stage in 45 minutes, and it would just wow the crowd. So that was kind of my claim to fame on the stage. And then I just saw the statistics every time we do these. I would always rank the highest, amongst everybody. And these are some of the most brilliant people. And so I just started naturally just putting out, doing keynotes. And then all the gateway drug was really video, and putting out video of my talks, putting that on the internet, and seeing it go, and more people seeing it. And I just believe that content, creates luck, and more and more people around the world started to see the videos. And that's why I got really passionate about the creator economy. And I've been speaking about the creator economy. I wasn't called the creator economy, but I was just speaking about this idea of the individual and the power going to individuals. And now we're seeing this shift between institutions to individuals. That's what the creator economy is all about. And I'm actually a product of that. I work for a firm that is a global firm that has deep roots and tradition and brand. And yet I saw clients gravitate to me and wanting to work with me. And I saw, even leaving Deloitte, I was able to work with better clients and better executives and just build my career because I was a creator in a sense, right? And I just saw that shift to individuals, and I still see it today. I get great opportunities coming at me, but I just know that betting on myself, investing in myself as a creator, as a brand, is the most powerful thing that you can do. And guess what? This is why I'm so passionate about the blockchain NFT space. It's because it's about finally an individual owning their own career. It's an individual owning their own path and being able to monetize their sort of fandom. And so yeah, that's really why I sort of got into it.
And so you had mentioned at Deloitte, you were kind of introduced. That was probably the first introduction you had to blockchain technology. What was your initial thoughts when you first kind of started hearing about this, when you first started hearing about cryptocurrencies? And what was the aha moment when you all of a sudden became a believer? Was that NFTs specifically?
No, I was a big believer for a very long time. I think it's because it's in my DNA with any sort of disruptive technology or anything new, anything that really looks like a toy, anything that the nerds or the people in the basement, when they're cracking on something and they're forgotten and ignored and laughed at and mocked, I always gravitate to them. I'm always curious, and it goes back to the first thing I said. I'm just curious. Why are people tinkering with this? To me, I got it right away because, I don't know. A lot of people reference Satoshi's white paper, but not many people read it, right? And I think if you read it, you will have it's like reading the Bible, right? You will have an unlock. It is you start to see what the potential looks like. And to me, I always saw the potential of blockchain. I knew the use cases. Okay, real estate, land, anything to do with on title, insurance, automating everything. I spent my entire career at the beginning in accounting. This would be a boom for auditing. It already sort of self audits. I saw everything. very early on. The problem with blockchain until this year, the problem with blockchain, it never had a hit. It never had a blockbuster movie until this year. You could say Bitcoin was a blockbuster movie, but it was still an underground hit. It was still for nerds. The breakout hit was NBA Top Shot. That is what catapulted blockchain into the hype cycle it has right now. Of course, Bitcoin has had the hypes over the time, and we all knew the power of the blockchain. This is not a secret to anybody. But the breakout hit was NBA Top Shot. And the reason why, it has nothing to do with the technology, because NFTs have been out since 2017. The reason why it popped is because the NBA is culture. It's sports. It gravitates to it's part of our soul. And this is the reason why now this is the breakout hit. It's because everybody and their neighbor's cousin is talking about this. To me, at that point, it's gone consumer, right? It's on the New York Times. Like, my mom is talking about it. Like, it's over, right? The blockbuster hit is here. Like, do you agree? Because you guys are deep into the space too. Tell me that the NBA Top Shot is not the first blockbuster hit.
Okay, I'm gonna jump in here first, and then I'll let you. No, it's funny for me. It depends what you want to define as a hit, because we could just call NFTs as a whole the hit, and they didn't hit right away. As you mentioned, they came out in 2017. They weren't really popping off till this year. But NFTs as a whole, because of what you said about the NBA, about NBA Top Shot, the culture, the empowerment that NFTs give all artists of any kind is incredible. And it's pushed blockchain technology for that specific reason, as NFTs in particular. It's brought them to the mainstream. I have a friend who's in a band. They're out of Vancouver, IMUR, check them out. And I'm on their Instagram, and just last week, they're sharing their first, selling their first NFT. And like my friend Jenny, I would have never thought to, talk to her about blockchain, because she's not a technologist or something like that. But because she's an artist, she's promoting NFTs, and everybody appreciates music. Everybody appreciates art. Everybody appreciates sports. And these are all things that NFTs can facilitate. And beyond that, to go to NBA Top Shot now, specifically. So my girlfriend's dad, he is the kind of guy who he follows tech somewhat. Like he pays attention to tech in the news, let's say. But, not too far beyond that, maybe. And when he was visiting not too long ago, he brought up NBA Top Shot, and he'd heard about it and was talking about this NBA crypto thing. And sure, he didn't know much about it, but even that is like, I just never would have expected him to bring up NBA Top Shot to me. So yeah, there's that for you.
Yeah. So Wade, what do you think? Was the NBA Top Shot the first hit for blockchain?
The first hit, yes, but I tend to agree. See, the interesting thing here is that I agree on the sense of all of these NFTs and culture in general, and what you connect with. So, for example, I'm a huge sports fan. NBA on my list of sports, it's probably like number 5. I love it. Like, it's awesome. But if NHL had come out with that thing, or I see what Chili's is doing in Europe with Premier League football and different football teams and that kind of thing. And to me, it's a culmination of all of these things happening, and the nifty gateway, and credit to the platforms as well, because Top Shot is an experience. I stood in line for the Cool Cats pack today, and I was able to get one. was like 86,000 or something like that. I was able to get one. And I know that when I go to open that pack, there's a little excitement, right? Like the pack's going to rumble a bit. You see what the moments are. There's that whole experience. Similar with Nifty Gateway. I mean, you go there and it's almost like a coming soon. What's on tap for the week? Paris Hilton's dropping one on Saturday from the recording date that we're doing this, right? And so I think all of these things happening at once, meshed with the fact that you have the people talking about it who are talking about it, the Gary Vaynerchuks and these types of people who are influential, so influential in the marketing space. And a lot of people, I think, take not their policy, but their strategy from someone like Gary V. And Gary V, I would say 40% of his tweets, and that's not an overstatement, have been about NFTs over the past 2 months. Yeah. And so all of this is happening, but
me too.
Yeah. But I guess that's the question for you is, because I was trying to go find out through the Twitter conversation there how exactly it happened. But my understanding was you had a friend who told you about Top Shot and you were maybe a little hesitant at first. How did that all pan out?
Yeah, so my friend in December, his name is Ahmed Gahari. We're all NBA fans, and in December he was telling me about NBA Top Shot, and I'd heard about it. Because I NBA blockchain. I thought it was in beta. Like I didn't think that I could actually access it. And then he was telling me that you could access it. You could actually get packs. Like you could just get as many packs as you wanted. It was like there was no drop. There was nothing. There was just like packs available. Just buy as many. So at the end in December, I was kind of busy. We had family over, and like it was just like a crazy time. And then finally, it was December 31st or it was January 1st. I started to buy a bunch of packs, and to me, like the first time that you get in an Uber, and then you get out and you don't have to pay the driver. Like I had a moment when that happened. The first time I used Uber, I don't even know what year it was. But it was a magical moment. There was like, you saw it. You're like, this is the future. The same thing happened with NBA Top Shot. I got my first pack. They had the reveal and all that. I had this and I'm like, wait a minute, I own this. And by the way, it's like some of the people that I love. And I own this card. And by the way, I have an amazing serial number. And immediately I saw the value. So over January, like I got lucky that I started getting packs. I started buying things on the marketplace, like right before it sort of went ballistic. And and I started talking about it, right? I even put my Luka Doncic, and I think this is what got all my friends in on it. I put my Luka Doncic, like Game 6 Clippers 3-pointer, like probably what I think is the most iconic shot on Top Shot to this day. I put it up for $250,000, which is like the max amount that you can sell it for. And I just put it up as a moment to say, guys, I believe so much in this. I put it at this price. And I think it was a bit of a joke, right? But after that, it was like floodgates, right? Everything, I just felt in my sort of circle, everyone started rushing to NBA Top Shot, because when you put a price up there and saying I'm selling this for this much, people are like, okay, what is this thing? And then I started to pump out content around NFTs, and on LinkedIn and other places, and yeah, so just started the conversation around it. And the reason why I was doing it was because I was literally so. And I am so passionate about it. I see it. Like we're in a hype cycle, by the way. We are totally in a hype cycle. Don't get it twisted. We are in a hype cycle. But when the dust is cleared, everyone will see the potential of the technology. Like everyone will see it. It's like everyone's going. It's like at a big party, right? Like everyone, the bottles are over here. People are dancing over here. The DJ's up here. It's crazy. Everyone's having a great time. Most people are gonna lose their shirt. Most people are gonna get drunk. They're gonna pass out, and they're gonna wake up in the morning and be like, what happened? But you know what's gonna happen? Everyone is gonna remember the night. And they're going to remember how amazing it is. And that's really the technology. And so this is going to apply not only to art and collectibles and fun things that we can trade. This is going to move to vaccinations, to health, to real estate, to events and beyond. This is what we're talking about. This is why I'm so passionate about it, and also because of the creator economy and its deep link there, which I've been talking about for years. And finally, I see it. Like I'm going on a tangent, and I'll stop. But I've been obsessed with this idea for years of how do you invest in a person. Like I want to invest in you guys, and I know now I can do it because you guys have an NFT on, OpenSea, and I can do it. I can do it now, but finally we can do it through NFTs, through social tokens. It's here, and that's why I'm so passionate about it.
Ulf, do you realize that our audience has either been watching or listening to this episode for 20 minutes?
20 minutes? They should probably subscribe.
Yeah, they should subscribe, and they should like and comment and hit that notifications bell.
Oh, and did you tell them about the NFTs?
That's right. We have our own NFT for our OG supporters. This is a way you can support our show, help us bring you continual great content. Information on that is below. I love the examples that you're using. They're just like the party example. That's like some of these I'm going to steal for my real life conversations with people who ask about it. But you touched on something there. You talked about the fact that you are explaining NFTs to audiences that probably haven't heard of them, or they have, but they don't know what it is. It's this reoccurring thing that they're seeing the odd headline about, but they don't really understand what a non-fungible token is. So two-part question. First off, how are you going about explaining that? And then the second, what is the reaction of people? Like, are they getting it as well after one of your keynote presentations, or are people still a little bit like, that was great, but I still don't really get it?
Yeah, and I know you guys have explained NFTs throughout your podcast, many times already. So, for everybody who's caught up to this episode, you know what an NFT is. To be honest with you, it's still a mind bender, right? It still doesn't make sense to most people, right? Because and I know you were talking about this with another guest where everybody's like, you can screenshot it, right? Like that. Everyone still has that explanation around the screenshotting. But as the months, as the weeks, as the days roll by, and as the Gary V's, the New York Times, the reputable sites are talking about this, are explaining it. I don't need to explain what NFTs are, and people will just get it, and they will see the potential in it. At the beginning, to be honest with you, like most of my keynotes don't actually have NFTs in it. Like it's not like it's a portion of it because I want to explain to people why this is disruptive for their particular business, because it's new and it's emerging and I believe in it. So at the beginning I was really soft, right? I was explaining NFTs, NBA Top Shot, and that's probably the easiest way of talking about it because it was culturally relevant at the time. And then when Beeple sold his $69 million, it's getting a little bit more relevant. It still eludes most people, which is fine. I mean, it's a new thing, right? It's a toy. Most people think that it doesn't make sense. Listen, I'm sure this has happened when the internet came out. People explain the internet. I'm like, whatever, right? Everything looks like a toy until it actually becomes your boss. And to me, it's, I think there's going to be a very slow transition. If you think about most like incumbents, most established organizations, I'm not talking about like the FANG companies. I'm talking about like most companies, like they're not even like they've just figured out Zoom. Like, we're talking about NFTs. I mean, like they're not even there yet. But I think that I was talking to some practitioners in the event space, and I'm so passionate about NFTs in events. I think that's going to be a huge thing. And so I'm just telling them that it's going to be a big thing. I was talking to somebody today. He's actually starting an NFT events company, and So some people get it, and those are the disruptors. Those are the people that are going to change the world. But I'm curious for you guys, in your own lives, explaining NFTs to like the people around you. Are they getting it?
I had this experience actually where just even blockchain in general, somebody asked me about it and I really struggled, which is crazy. Like we've talked to so many people about different things, but I think for the NFT, the big thing at the beginning was people thinking, yeah, oh, you can just screenshot it. This is just, look, I have the exact same thing. And I felt like the Mona Lisa example was just so overused. Like I just always hear everyone use the Mona Lisa example. But then when you start to think a little deeper of like, okay, let's take sports and let's take the difference between having a sports card that's genuinely been autographed and it has maybe a little ink smudge versus something that's clearly been stamped and is just, I mean, we would all genuinely agree that there's a difference. There's more value to the one that was signed by pen. And when people start to understand that, I think then they can make the next steps to the next things. But I agree with you as well that I think that we definitely are in a bit of overhype. It seems like a bubble of sorts in the sense of everything. Like, man, credit to the Winklevoss twins for getting in on Nifty Gateway, because the amount of money that's flowing through there every single day, these drops are minting hundreds that are sometimes worth several $1,000s each. And I can't help but think that not all of those are going to retain that value. And even a few days down the road, a lot of these are selling for 75%, 70% of what they were previously worth. And so it's interesting because it's like, what is your reason for getting into it and that type of thing? And I'll be honest, with NBA Top Shot, I love the NBA, but I also am doing it because I love crypto and be from somewhat of a speculative point of view. And I might be the problem with, because for the genuine fans.
Well, it's, can I just challenge you for a second? Because the Mona Lisa argument, listen, everyone's mad about everyone's using the Mona Lisa argument. I think it's a perfectly rational argument to make because it is probably by far the most known painting in the world. So to use it, it's fine. It's funny because like the NFT Instagram account, they reposted one of my videos, one of my TikToks on their account, and I used the Mona Lisa example to explain non-fungible tokens. And you should see the comments. It's literally like, it's just people like, this guy's an idiot, blah, 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 Mona Lisa argument again. But, the reality is that, anyways, not to go on tangent with the Mona Lisa, I think it's a good example. It's saying, listen, you don't own the Mona Lisa. Like finally, what the blockchain has done, it is, it's actually authenticated. It's showcasing that you own something. And that's verifiable. And so I think, I think that's great. But you're absolutely right. Like we're in a bubble right now, and I think it's exciting. I think it's exciting. We needed a bubble. Blockchain needed a bubble. To be honest with you, it was like a joke for many, many years because it didn't have a hit, and now it has a hit. So let's let the dust settle, let the party end, let the hangover start, and let's start remembering what the technology was all about. That's what I would say.
I think it's interesting that when we talk about NFTs in general, at least I think the most common case and most people would explain is artwork, usually to begin with, or collectibles. But there's so many other use cases for NFTs, a lot that aren't popular or aren't really being implemented today, but like contracts in the future of any kind, could be a deed to a home potentially in the future, or a contract between businesses. But I run a business, and when I think of NFTs, so I'm going to point out one thing, but before I do, there's so many things with NFTs where like Wade and I have experienced in some of our interviews where somebody mentions a use case for an NFT, and not every use case clicks with me. Like, I'll be honest, sometimes I'm just like that person who just learned about it, who's like, okay, I mean, like, I don't, okay. But then, the odd other use case is like, holy crap, like I've never even thought about that before. And so one of these just happened recently, and that's what I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
We were just on the golf course with some friends yesterday, and a buddy of ours was mentioning NFTs, and I can't remember exactly how it got brought up, but it was the point about how you can implement royalties. And so from a entrepreneurial point of view, if you can create an NFT that's worth some value and you sell it, this is something so novel that with everything else that exists today, let's use the Mona Lisa as an example. If the Mona Lisa ever gets sold and someone then inherits it, the person who made money selling it was the one who owned it, not the artist who created it. But with baked in royalties that can never be edited, the original creator can make income on that every time it gets sold on the aftermarket anywhere. And that to me is just like mind-boggling. Like, that's such a crazy use case right there.
Yeah, and I think that's the most exciting thing for artists is that, or for anybody, is that, yeah, you can now get a perpetual sort of royalty, and it's baked into the smart contract. And even when you're dead, I'm assuming your estate will get a portion of whatever you have. So I think that's a beautiful thing. And I think we haven't even scratched the surface of some of the use cases. Let me give you some use cases, and you're not going to, because you're like, I hear some of the use cases, I don't like it. I haven't, I don't see it, or, let me give you some use cases. I'm going to pitch them at you. Okay. I'm going to pitch you some NFT use cases right here. Okay. All right. We're all talking about sort of static NFTs, right? A static NFT is, I get a piece of art, it's minted, I own it, maybe it's on chain, and maybe I can sell it later, and the artist will get 20%. That to me is a static NFT. A dynamic NFT is when, based on the data or something that happens, like let's say you're into football and you have Patrick Mahomes, he gets 3 touchdowns, and we know that when he gets 3 touchdowns, it unlocks and mints a number of moments that people can now, a limited edition of moments now that people can sort of trade and buy, right? It's a dynamic NFT because it's initiated by something happening that or you don't know. Like let's say the ball hits the light. Okay, well, anytime a ball hits the light, it creates an NFT. It's a dynamic NFT, meaning it's based on some of the data or something that happens in the event. I think that's really great. I think the idea of, for example, in ticketing, right? NFT for as a ticket. There's so much scalping happening around tickets, and now with the ticket, you know who owns it, you know where it's going, you can verify it, and you can reduce scalping. Even in events. This is why I'm so passionate about NFT in events, because events are all about community. It's all about fandom. And there are certain things that happen in an event that, you only, if you're part of that event, you can have access to that particular NFT. And so this drives more community. It drives actual attendance to events because the attendees know I'm not going to be able to get an NFT if I'm not here at the event. And so it drives attendance. You could also, again, like so many people go to an event and, they hear a speaker or they like meet people and they get like a loot bag and they're off. They don't remember anything. Maybe they got drunk and that's the only thing they remember. Imagine you go to a Remax conference and they actually have a new product and they say to the entire group, by the way, everybody in this event right now, we are splitting an NFT. You guys are all contributors of this NFT. And when we sell this, you will all get a piece because with the beauty of NFTs, you can split the contributions to multiple parties. I'm going to be putting out an NFT later. It's going to be a presentation. It's going to be in partnership with Imagine Van Gogh, the curators of Imagine Van Gogh, and Explore Edmonton, and my filmmakers, and everyone's going to get a piece of it when it's sold. And to me, it's a more democratized way of putting out work. Now all the contributors actually get a piece of it. What else should I can go all day. Anything unlocked in your mind, anything that was like, oh yeah, that was kind of cool.
100% of them. They all popped. You had those ones lined up good.
I was actually going to ask you, Shawn, because I was watching an episode of In the Lab and you were talking about that you had something cooking up. So I'm glad you mentioned that from an NFT perspective. And another thing I'm curious about is do you own? So you've talked a lot about Top Shot and that you kind of got in when packs were available, which is just this mind-boggling concept today because, as I mentioned for the NFT or sorry, for the Top Shot pack today, there was something like 300,000 people in line, 90,000 packs total. What about other NFTs? Do you own any sort of others at this point?
Yeah. So what I've been doing, which is really kind of sneaky, is I don't want to give it away because this is like a marketing hack, but there's a lot of amazing crypto artists that are wanting to mint their NFTs, and no one knows about them, but they create amazing work. So buying some of their NFTs to be like, hey, like I'd love to work with you. And for me, it's like showcasing like that. This is what I love about NFTs. It's not like a like or a comment. It's saying, I love your work. And now you can now I've bridged a relationship with them. And now I can work with them on stuff for the businesses that I'm working with. And we can create some amazing art. And so I think that's been a cool hack. People that nobody has ever heard of. They're going on Rarible. They're going on like OpenSea, and they're just putting stuff out, right? Just hoping and praying that somebody sees it. And that's the problem with NFTs now is that it's flooded, right? There's just so much stuff out there. But there are some amazing artists out there, and there's some amazing talent. And instead of liking something on Instagram, now you can go and say, hey, I bought this NFT. And now you have a direct relationship because you own a piece of their work. So yeah, that's what low-key that I've been doing. Not getting like a Steve Aoki, like Aoki, NFT or like a Banksy or a Beeple. I'm getting like people that probably are minting things that they're just doing it just for, they never thought that they could make something out of it.
Do you think NFTs, in a sense, for artists or creators in general, help the rich get richer and the little guys, it gives them another opportunity for sure. But what are the chances they're gonna be able to explode when the big name artists are on the scene? They're already killing it. All they gotta do, it doesn't even matter what they put together. It can look like crap, it can sound like crap, it can be crap. But if their name's on it, they can put it out there and it's gonna sell for crazy amounts because they're popular.
So absolutely that the rich will get richer in some respect, but in the party phase, the rich will get richer, and we're still in the party phase. But when the party is over, the people with true fan engagement, people that have true affinity, people that believe, have a true community, those people will get rich. Because here's the whole thing around the creator economy, is that the creator economy is not necessarily about you having millions of followers that follow you and love you. No, it could be about you having 1,000 fans or 100 fans or less that really love your craft, that really love what you do. And so even with a very small audience, they could own pieces of whatever you're selling in terms of NFT. It could be pictures or presentations or whatever it might be. So to me, the exciting part of NFTs is that it is finally allowing the creator economy to monetize their craft. That the creators that are not, the Tom Brady's of the world, the Snoop Dogg's that are minting their NFTs, but the people that are just building small communities around like pizza or small communities around gardening. Like that is what I'm like really interested in, because the world has just fragmented, guys. Like the internet has democratized media, and the reason why it's beautiful is that go to a subreddit, there's an entire community like dedicated to that particular subreddit. They're on that every single day. And I can trust you that every single subreddit has a very rich community where if there is an NFT minted, they will buy it because they're on it every single day. And this is the NFT is the gateway drug to monetizing community. And I think it's going to be great. You don't have to be Tom Brady.
For those new creators who maybe don't have a huge following who maybe are working on growing their show. Do you have any recommendations? Like what kind of, where should we get started in the world of NFTs beyond, say, just creating a piece of artwork? Are there other more innovative, cool ideas that would allow creators to monetize their work that goes beyond just a JPEG?
Yeah. So I think, by the way, if you've gotten this far on this podcast and we're talking about this particular subject, at least what you can do is subscribe. Come on, hit the subscribe button right now. That would really help these guys. Absolutely. I think I think what you guys are doing, again, I'm going to come back to it. Like, the reason why I'm so excited about what you guys are doing is that you guys are authentic, you're genuine, you're having these guests, you're not pushing anything, you're learning, you're asking brilliant questions, and you're learning, you're literally absorbing. And at the same time, you're getting your community to learn more about blockchain and crypto. And I think as you build your audience, what you're going to find is that there are going to be people that love you guys, right? And that want to support you guys. And so at some point, I think being able to identify who those folks are, and I know you guys have minted an NFT, I think even because you're in this entire space, like, I love that you experimented putting out an NFT. I think the next natural thing is figuring out experimenting with something like social tokens, right? Because I think everyone's talking about NFTs now, but social tokens is going to be like late 2021. That's what people are going to be talking about. And Rally and Roll, there's lots of sites that are enabling people to do this. But I think the interesting thing about social tokens is that it you can build fandom, but in tiers. So let's say like you have 200 tokens of Show Me the Crypto, and with 200 tokens, maybe you have access to like a longer episode with a guest, or you can have a one-on-one with you guys. But maybe at the 500 level, now they are actually 500 token level. They're saying, well, we want to dictate who the next guest is going to be, or who are you going to pitch to? Oh, we want to know what questions that we want to say. Oh, we got a question from Jeff. We want to be able to actually ask the questions, or we want to be able to come on to the pod. And at 1,000 token, I don't even know what that is. It's like an in-person, dinner, or it's like it's part of that trip that you guys do. So the social tokens is an interesting way of combining community with crypto, and you're starting to see it. I mean, there's been some flops. And you're starting to see it. Rally, for example, they have the thing called Creator Coin, which Rally is another thing where I heard it, I saw it, and I just got completely obsessed with it. If you don't know what Rally.io is, it's allowing people to have their own coins. And one of the most interesting part of it is Rally is a network where they are essentially allowing their community, like, you can buy the Rally network, but the organization, it's like completely autonomous in the sense that at some point the company, the Rally, will just disintegrate, and it will just be sort of the community building this thing up, which I think is like crazy, because for most organizations, they're building organizations to last. Like, that's the fucking point of a organization, built to last. There's a book on it, and Rally is saying, we want to build to die, to let the community rise up. Like, this is like the golden child of what blockchain's all about. It's about the community. It's about open source. It's about the people. And I think it's brilliant.
Have you heard much about, because I've only seen this in tweets and that kind of thing, but BitClout?
Yeah.
Like, what's the deal?
Yeah, no, BitClout. So the only BitClout transaction that I made in my life so far is Chamath coin. I bought a Chamath coin. BitClout is also interesting because it is allowing you to have a piece of a creator, just like a stock. I can get a piece of Elon or Mr. Beast or Chamath. And I think it's an interesting concept. They had a really interesting growth hack as well. They basically, what they did was they like took like the 150 most popular people and they said, we have your coin. People are trading it and, claim it. And of course, if you claim it, then, there's a little bit more authority there. I think it's interesting. And I am on the fence on it so far because I think because they sort of started in a kind of like a really sort of like, you remember like LinkedIn started and they just like hacked your entire like contacts and like now you're like sending emails. They kind of did it in that kind of way. There's something kind of spammy or unsafe. You can see it through the UI and the UX and how it's sort of laid out. So I'm a bit cautious, and like with many things in crypto, like you should be cautious. This is why I like what NBA Top Shot has done, because it blends what Web3 and Web2 so well, right? It has the best elements of Web2, like really great user experience and UI and like authority and like, anti-fraud and all that kind of stuff. And it combines the best of Web3. BitClout is like way more Web3, probably needs a little bit more Web2. Like this is the whole thing with every single innovation. You need something that people are familiar with so that we fully adopt. That's why when the elevator started, before the automatic elevator started, you actually had a guy in the elevator, pressing the button so that you would go up. And when the automatic elevator started, you didn't need the guy anymore, right? That the job is completely eliminated. But they literally still stuffed people in there just so few people would, be comfortable with, this elevator going up and down just automatically. Like that was a game changer, but they still needed a human. I still see this with autonomous cars today. Even with autonomous cars, like you can look at it in some cities, they have these autonomous shuttles. They still stick a human in that autonomous shuttle just so that people feel comfortable with it. And the same thing will happen with Web3. We will still want Web2 elements that signals trust so that we can just dive in fully. BitClout, I think, is exciting because it allows you to, finally monetize or finally put money into a creator. But I'm still a bit wary of how it's laid out. I don't know who's behind it too. That's a big point. If you don't know who's behind it, then there's a trust. There's a problem with trust there.
One of the things we haven't really dove into is actual, cryptocurrencies from like a financial sense. And one thing I'm curious about is, you give keynote speeches to all sorts of industries. For those that you're talking to, maybe like it's the banking sector, for example, like what is the message? Do you broach the subject of cryptocurrencies and how they need to be ready for that wave of things coming? Or how do you see cryptocurrencies from the financial sense as impacting us going forward?
Well, so by the way, every single bank, obviously we're in Canada, your audience is all over the world, but we're in Canada. Every single major bank has been experimenting with blockchain for years, like for 5 years and more. Every single one of them. They see it. Even the Bank of Canada, who I have a deep relationship with, I've done projects with, they have their own Ethereum-based projects, blockchain-based projects. They all see it. They're very smart. They have hundreds of thousands of people within their organization thinking about the trends and experimenting on things. So I don't need to convince them about what the future of blockchain. I think for them, they need to be paying attention to it. But for most folks, it's still, it still seems far off. However, I think the tide has turned this year, guys. I think with Bitcoin accelerating the way that it has, the fact that more and more major institutions are accepting it. You saw Coinbase this week, IPO. The tidal wave is coming, and I think with the organizations that don't get it, that are slow to the punch, I think they'll lose. The problem with the banks and the financial services is that they know they were on blockchain before any of us were on blockchain. They were there. I know it. That's where all the first experiments that we were doing at Deloitte were with financial services. They knew it. They saw it. However, the ability to change your business model, the ability to change what you do every single day, that's a big shift. It's like you need to change your entire business to make this work. I mean, the best way of going about it is to experiment on the side and try. But it takes a big shift. Listen, Blockbuster knew about streaming, but they, to pull the trigger and say, we're going full streaming, and obviously they tried to buy Netflix, whatever, famous story, right? It's difficult to change your business model. Kodak, same thing. They invented digital photography. Understanding the trends is one thing. Changing your business model it takes a lot of courage, takes a lot of balls to do, and most organizations can't do that.
Shawn, there's been so much value in this episode. You've just done such a great job explaining all of these points. We like to end every episode of Show Me the Crypto with a 3-question segment called You Had Me at Crypto.
Shawn, you're probably familiar with this.
Yes.
When you listen to some episodes. Question 1. Yeah.
I'm excited. This is the stuff that you got at TikTok. These are the questions that you got to, I should start dancing just so that it goes viral.
Who's your favorite person to follow in the crypto space?
My favorite person to follow in the crypto space is recently, it's probably Anthony Pompliano, who you're going to get on your podcast.
Yeah, we are.
Fingers crossed.
Right after this. The reason why I'm so excited about him lately is because he's just leaned in. He's so leaned in that he's fighting everybody on Twitter around it. And he has he's leaned in. He's in. He's so bullish on it that he's willing to fight everybody about it. I love it. By the way, he's not that active. I mean, he's active on Twitter, but my favorite person to follow in the Bitcoin blockchain NFT space is Metakoven, the guy who actually bought Beeple's $69 million art. I've been consuming so much of his content over the last number of weeks. Just understanding his thesis around it. To me, that's the best follow is Metakoven because he's so deep into it. He obviously has an NFT, his thing called Metapurse. So that's the guy to follow because he's the practitioner.
I caught a Clubhouse conversation where he was there shortly after purchasing the $69 million.
I was there too with you, I think.
Yeah. That was just fascinating hearing his perspective of why he did and kind of what he's planning on creating in the virtual space, these virtual art galleries where, it's just such a cool.
Yeah, we didn't even get into the metaverse in this conversation. That's part 2.
Yeah,
we'll have a follow up. All right. Question 2. What will the price of Bitcoin be 10 years from now?
The price of Bitcoin 10 years from now, at some point it has to stabilize. There's only 21 million. And it's definitely going to get to 100,000 by the end of this year. I think, this is going to age so poorly. I think I don't know. I think it goes to 250. How about that? I think at some point it's going to crash and then it's going to go back up multiple times.
In April 2031, we're going to find you and let you know how close you were.
So well. It's going to be on freezing cold takes.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, I'll bet you for every person we've asked, they'll all age terribly. We're all going to get it wrong.
I'm more interested in Ether. I was early in Ether, and I sort of went hard on ETH because of the Ethereum blockchain. So back in 2017, that's when I put in money into Ethereum, and I told all my friends, I'm like, Ethereum because of the underlying technology. And you're seeing it obviously it has problems, and we need to get to the next version of it. But I'm bullish on Ether.
Speaking of different coins, what's the most underrated coin or project in crypto?
Well, should I say that Dogecoin is going to the moon? Because then this will get a ton of likes and comments. No, well, listen, I think I'm an NBA Top Shot homer, and I think what they've done with Flow is unbelievable, because you can start to build consumer sort of based networks on top of it. You couldn't really do that with Ethereum, because Ethereum was just, it's not scalable. It's not built for that. So I think Flow is probably the most interesting ones, because you can build so many things on top of it. And I'm just excited to see what ideas. I mean, obviously Top Shot has their own ideas, but I'm bullish on that one. And I think we're gonna see. I think we're gonna probably see some that come out of nowhere that are backed by traditional individuals or traditional institutions that will really make a big wave, and we just haven't seen it yet.
Love it. Shawn, thank you so much. This was an awesome episode. We really appreciate you taking the time to be on this episode of Show Me the Crypto.
Thank you, guys. It was a pleasure. It's an honor, and I can't wait to come back in 2031.
Thank you for listening to Show Me the Crypto. Please make sure to subscribe, as well as rate and review this podcast.